Alright guys, sorry about that. I was messing with some more settings, but I think I got it now. This is like my third time recording this part of the intro, but as you can see, I got the platinum for this game already. I wanted just to record it to show you guys the best storyline and like this dating game simulator kind of thing, dating simulator. I love games like these. They're sort of like visual novels as well, but just like depending on who you pursue versus, you know, whether it's as friends or in a romantic relationship, you get a different ending depending on the characters and whatnot. And I wanted to show this particular story. Yeah, hopefully this works and we can get started. Oh, we will get a copyright claim because the song in the beginning of the game is actually pretty good, but I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted. Pretty sure. So we'll see. We'll see once I upload the recording. I was gonna do full setup and do this live, but I feel like it's too sunny right now, and I just really wanted to get this one video through since with the Elgato capture card problems until it was finally fixed today. You know, I was itching to get some videos up. So all right, here we go. You'll hear the song, guys. You'll hear the song. It's pretty good.
With you, I'm in a foreign land, hoping I have what it's.
Let me know when you guys get tired of the song. No, it's gonna get better. Listen, it's gonna get better.
There's a reason why we're drawn together here, coming clear. Let's take things one day at a time.
Listen how upbeat it is.
Beneath the surface,
I'm very curious who sings the song.
is this the way a new relationship?
I gotta Google this because like the song's not bad in my opinion. In my opinion, of course, the song's not bad.
Diving in, we'll have the time of our lives. Don't pass it by. We'll have the time of our lives.
You guys had enough yet? You had enough? I don't think you've had enough yet. We gotta keep listening. Alright, I'm just playing. So okay, everything's good. So like, I'm not gonna put these mini games on because I want you guys to hear the story, not this garbage ass shit. Okay, so that I assume that's the main character in the lower right. So her name's Melissa, and she's looking for like. I guess I have to read this now. Is that what YouTubers do? Is that what streamers do? I don't know. I glanced at the map, which highlighted road names along with a star next to my destination. After comparing, I came to the conclusion this wasn't the place, but I was close. The village, Koreans, was clustered by the Meuse River, and I paused to admire the pretty gardens surrounding the houses. I was oddly calm despite being over 5,000 miles from my Californian home. The reality of being in another country had yet to sink in. Up ahead, there was a clearing separated from the road by a fence. On the other side, a few tents were stationed behind a two-story building. I spotted an open chain gate with a billboard in front of the driveway. It said, Grotte de Calan Entrée. That's the place. So we're in France right now? Are we in France? A familiar figure stood by the entrance. She was currently talking to a middle-aged man, but when she saw me, she gave me a cheerful wave as I ran up to her. Sherry. Okay, apparently this is like the professor, I would assume. With one hand on my backhand, I exchanged a half embrace with my professor. Professor, there you go. I didn't know you already arrived. If you called me, I would have come and picked you up at the train station. You mentioned that the cave wasn't far, so I wanted to soak in the scenery and enjoy the sights. I like to enjoy some of those sights. I'm glad you made it safely. Was it difficult taking the train? Nope. Well, I did try to practice my French at the ticket station until the person said that he could speak English. He pointed me in the right direction. At least you'll be able to brush up on your French. You'll find it's not too different from Spanish. You'll catch on quickly. I groaned inwardly. My Spanish wasn't the most fluent, but I mentioned it in my interview when discussing how I would cope with staying in Belgium without knowing French. Oh, I guess we're in Belgium, okay. I glanced around, then turned to Sherry. Where's Paige? I don't know who Paige is. Did she say she would be arriving earlier today? Or was that tomorrow? I got an email from her yesterday saying there was a family emergency. She won't be able to participate this summer. I failed to hide my disappointment. Paige was the other student from my university who planned to attend this food school. We even worked out trips to do every weekend during our stay. I mustered up a weak smile. It's understandable. Can't be helped if it's family. Then it would just be me. Sherry gestured to the other person present to change the subject. Before I forget, let me introduce you to Professor Augustine Dupont, Chief Archaeologist of Callan Cave. I eagerly extended my arm for a handshake. Everything I heard about Mr. Dupont was from Sherry, and she'd mentioned that he was a revered Belgian archaeologist. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Melissa Flores, a junior. I look forward to seeing Sherry's students every summer. It's a pleasure to meet you. Mr. Dupont spoke with a heavy French accent, but I had no trouble comprehending him. Have you gone over everything with Sherry? When the students from Liège arrive tonight, they'll get their first lecture before dinner. Yes, I'll still attend the lecture though. If I was going to be submerged in a language, I might as well start by hanging out with the local students. Mr. Dupont eyed my suitcase. It must have been a tiring trip. Come, we will show you around the back. Students will be spending the weekdays here. We reached the clearing and I spotted the same tents, most clustered around the perimeter, against the bushes, and a few were closer to the building. Feel free to pick one. These are for the students who don't own their own tents or air mattresses or couldn't bring them. The chief archaeologist gave a nod, then excused himself. He probably had other matters to attend to before the students arrived. I studied the tents next to the building and thought about my phone, which is still in airplane mode. How's the Wi-Fi here? If you stay in that tent, you might get Wi-Fi. It doesn't extend much here in the back. If you brought a laptop, you can leave it in the laboratory. It's been done before. Everything gets locked up at night though, for safekeeping. Fair enough. At least I can keep in touch with my parents. Once you're finished, come back to the front and we'll give you a tour. Will we get to see the cave today? It's already locked, so you have to wait until morning. And the anticipation builds. I thanked her and started unpacking. There was already a mattress, pillow, and sleeping bag in place, and it only took a few moments to settle in. Done. Grabbing a small storage bag, I zipped my tent and hurried over to the front of the building. Anyway, this is the main entrance. This will take you to the... She opened the door and my eyes widened when I saw display after display. So it was a museum. A remarkably tiny one. After one loop, I was already back to the entrance. I wanted to examine the displays more, but I figured I'd have more free time later. Sherry and I ascended the stairs by the entrance. This room is more of a multi-purpose room. It can be used for lectures, and it's where findings are cleaned if the weather isn't suitable outside. I cradled the storage bag, wondering how to bring up the question. Fortunately, Sherry noticed. Something important in there? The extra insulin I won't be using yet. It needs to avoid extreme temperatures. Is there somewhere safe I can store it? Oh, of course. Thank you for reminding me. Feel free to use the indoor kitchen since it's restricted to staff members. Augustine has granted you access since he knows you're diabetic. She led me to the back, giving me a chance to store the insulin bottles in the fridge. And to conclude the tour, this is the lab where most of the research takes place. How many students will be here? It varies. There could be as many as 40 or as few as 20. Students from Liège are required to devote at least 4 weeks working at an archaeological site, regardless of their major. Therefore, we may get a lot of music and art students too. The other students should be arriving soon. How's the jet lag? Not bad so far. A little fatigued, but nothing else. I'm going to be up all night, aren't I? Worst case scenario, I'll give you an extra day to prepare yourself for the dig. You have reviewed the material I've given you, right? Yes, I've looked at it. Is there anything you'd like to go over? It's been a month since my last lecture. So, like, I believe all of this this vomit of words here is for the mini games, and we're not doing that because this is taking a lot longer than I realized, but hopefully it'll be worth it because this story is something else. I think I'm good for now. Great. However, if any new questions come up, feel free to ask. We heard activity outside, complete with loud voices and footsteps on the gravel. It sounds like the students from Liège are here. Augustine will start the lecture soon. Huh? No chance to unpack or get ready or anything like that? No. All of the students were given instructions when to arrive. Punctuality is valued greatly here. He'll lecture now, and students will settle in after. I'll be on my way. Some students stood while others sat on the stone tiles in front of the building. A few leaned against their luggage. They all formed a semicircle around Augustine. There were about 30 faces. I wondered how the camping grounds would contain them all. They fell silent when Augustine began to speak. Although I picked up the words such as archaeology, gratte, and sediment, much of it was lost on me. He repeated calcaire a lot too. However, his gestures were vibrant and a sense of passion behind his voice. It got me looking forward to excavating tomorrow. Okay, so like, just ignore what I'm doing here. This is to get the ending we're looking for. And I think that's about it. Like Sherry said, there was another lecture in the morning, complete with a whiteboard and Augustine demonstrating how to use a trowel. It was all in French, and Sherry was kind enough to translate some key phrases, or remind me that I covered this with her before the trip. The students were divided, with one half, me included, to head for the cave, while the other group would stay behind for lab work. The walk to the cave was roughly 10 minutes, passing through a narrowed path in the sloped woods. The trickier sections had cement stairs installed, along with handles to prevent from slipping. When we reached an ordinary-looking shed, Augustine pulled out his keys. I realized this was the cave entrance, or at least the artificial part of it. Once we're inside, please spread out so I can explain how to wet screen. He repeated the instructions in French as we filed through one by one. There's a raised counter in the middle with plastic containers suspended on wooden supports. So this is where the wet screening takes place. Looks like it can only fit 2 people at a time. I wonder how often it will be used. Augustine demonstrated by lowering an empty metal sieve into a plastic container. Grabbing a hose, he mimed washing the screen and rooting through the pretend dirt. As much as I tried to pay attention, the language barrier tested my focus, and my eyes started to wander. I'm gonna check out the posters. Posters had defective sedimentary layers, cave bears, and even probably displayed pictures from previous excavations. They were definitely useful for references if I could read French. Okay, Os des Cavernes must mean cave bear. At least I figured that one out. A shuffle brought me back to the attention, and people were gathering buckets, tools, and knee pads. What do they need knee pads for? Anyway, I followed and carried everything in my own bucket, including a sheet of paper encased in a plastic bag. The real entrance to the cave opened, leading to a narrow industrial catwalk suspended over the abyss. Once I walked through, the temperature dropped to a cool chill, and I zipped up my hoodie. Augustine directed students to various locations while Sherry carefully slipped by, and I followed. The cave opened up farther with numerous stalactites and stalagmites everywhere. The catwalk railing disappeared where the ladders connected, or when it branched off into the other segments of the cave. Sherry, where will I dig? Sherry leaned over the railing and pointed to one of the deeper parts. You'll be digging here. It's 125,000-year-old layer. The very same one where they discovered Neanderthal mandible. What? I'll be digging such an important place already? Her hoodie says Lindy Hopper. Not sure who that is. Despite my nerves, I felt giddy inside. Sherry climbed down the ladder, and I trailed behind her. At the bottom of the ladder was another catwalk, positioned exactly in the middle. Now that my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I noticed there were strings and cords hung everywhere in specific pattern, the notes nailed into the soil. Sherry brought me to the end of the catwalk where there was yet another ladder, this time much shorter. You'll be digging on the right side here. Here was a rather cozy looking pit, a perfectly dug out square, 2 to 3 people could probably move around freely in this space. It was almost right under the main catwalk, higher up too. This is your carré D32. Carré D32? Carré means square. Everything is separated into a grid system. Starting from the entrance of the cave to the utmost left to right. It goes A1, B1, and so forth. That makes sense. It explains all the lines dangling from the ceiling too. Therefore measuring. Is C14 coming up? Correct. Shall we take a closer look? The photographs for this row should be done already. I'll be right back. You can go ahead and set your items down. She retreated while I placed the bucket next to the shorter ladder. I descended, then grabbed the tools before I hopped off the last step. The layer I would be working on was mostly dirt, with the odd large rocks sticking out here or there. It would be easy to dig. By the time Sherry returned, I already had my knee pads out and the piece of paper next to me. Here we are, a picture of your square. She handed it to me. I could tell it was printed off in the highest resolution possible, fully inked and glossy. What do we use this photograph for? First things first, we distinguish each layer and outline it on the photograph. Once Augustine or myself check it over, you can go ahead and start excavating. This picture is an irreplaceable reference and you find yourself relying on it often. Please don't lose it or get it tarnished. Sadly, Augustine is short-staffed at the moment. I'll be helping the other students, so most are new to this too. Is there anything you'd like to go over? Again, more mini games which we don't care about. I think I got it. I'm good, Sherry. Wonderful. I'll give you some time to get familiar with your square. If you're struggling, remember you can adjust heat lamps. So also, the photograph's contrasts have been altered to help distinguish the sedimentary layers easily. I'll be back shortly. I glanced down at the photograph before comparing it to the vertical wall in front of me. No matter how closely I looked, everything was brown, 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 and more brown. How am I supposed to tell the difference of this brown layer from that brown layer? Not deterred, I picked up a pencil and began marking more distinct sediments. Eventually, it became less solid brown. I could see reds and faint yellows within the soil. I was so focused I barely registered that I was not alone anymore. A tall student by the square next to mine, already engaged in identifying the sediments. I paid him no heed until I became stumped on whether I was looking at one layer or two. Quietly peering at his profile, he seemed rather familiar with the system. I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask him, or at least try to communicate. Can I get your opinion on something? She wants a male opinion on something interesting. Hello, bonjour? Still no reaction. I reached out and gave him a gentle tap on the shoulder. Ex-woe? The touch jolted him so abruptly that I retracted my hand. He whirled around and glared at me. Oui? Avez-vous son de quelque chose? Chose? I don't know. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this right. Sorry. I don't speak French. Non parle. Non. Oh, anglais. He placed his photograph on top of the square. Did you need something? Yeah, actually, I'm trying to figure out the layers, and I can't tell if this is one. I gently traced the soil and then pretended to pinch the air to give an idea of width. Or two. It seems reddish at the top. He grabbed his trowel, giving the vibe of a serious and no-nonsense person. Once I shuffled out of the way, he examined the area I indicated. 2. The stratum is more red, as you said, but gradually disappears around here. He etched a small line to mark the ending. I blinked as I recognized the differences, then nodded carefully. Thanks so much. I mean, I sort of figured, but I wasn't sure either. It's nice to get a second opinion. Another opinion. I gave him a cheerful smile, but he remained impassive. He even seemed baffled when I reached out to initiate a proper handshake. I'm Lissa. I'm the only foreign student here, if it wasn't obvious already with my language skills. Reluctantly, he switched the trowel to his left hand, and we gave a solid handshake before letting go. Kyler. And that was it. With nothing else to work from his interjection, I decided to bring up his skills. I'm guessing you're aspiring to be an archaeologist. You appear to know what you're doing. He returned his side of the square and knelt down, grabbing his photograph. Yes, this is my 4th time here, so I'm acquainted with the subject. And you? Especially since you're not from around here. Well, she's pretty serious about it. Of course, I did come all the way from California to experience this firsthand. I also love the idea of working on such an old archaeological site. I'm surprised that they assigned me to excavate a 125,000-year-old layer. I looked upward. It did seem like most students got the upper strata to work with and said, "For someone so interested, you get distracted easily." Hey, it was all in French and I couldn't help but look around. Since we're excavating next to each other, that makes us square mates. Or would you like to be carré mates? Either way, I look forward to working alongside with you. He looked confused but simply gave a mechanical nod. Right, likewise. Which is this dude's problem. Even his last words felt artificial, and I lost him to his little world of microstratigraphy. I guess he values his concentration. I mentally reminded myself to bring my earbuds for the first time. I had a feeling we wouldn't be making much small talk outside of excavations. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. It was mostly a long wait for my photograph to be approved by Sherry, and then I got hit by jet lag. Despite my worries, Sherry said she would not deduct marks if I napped until dinner, although she did scold me for forgetting my journal. I scanned the tables and maneuvered to where Sherry sat. I scooted to a spot on the bench and silently stared at my meal. After a few bites, I poked at the pasta dejectedly and sighed. Now I really wish Paige was here, and we promised to do so many things together too. I glanced up hopefully at Sherry, and I felt bad, but she was the only oasis in this unfamiliar place, and I clung to it. Not only that, aside from Kyler, none of the students greeted me or even tried to converse with me. I guess it was obvious that I didn't attend the same university. Will I fit in? That is a very good question. The question was more to myself, but Sherry overheard. Worried? The students here can be reserved, but I'm sure there'll be a few brave ones who like to practice their English with you. They're probably too focused from those lectures and on tasks right now. True, I'm sure once we're all used to the routine here, I'll have more chances to mingle. I ate with gusto, feeling confident now. When I finished, Sherry glanced at my empty plate. Here, I'll take that for you. Try to get some rest. Her concern cheered me up, and I chided myself for feeling anxious when I had barely arrived. I retreated to my tent as I settled down, contemplating about tomorrow. A musical tune disrupted the quiet night. Now, what is that thing over there? What is that gold-looking thing that is shaped in a very phallic manner? I don't know what that is. Is that a pillow? No, there's the pillows over there. I don't know what that is. Does anyone else know what that is? It was quickly silenced, but I need to catch your introduction theme to Ishtara anywhere. I grabbed my 4SX. No, I didn't leave my system on or anything. Was someone else playing? I might as well play some Ishtara. A little grinding would do me some good. I booted up the game and the first notes of the theme song blared loudly. I had forgotten that my earbuds weren't hooked to the handheld. I slid the volume down, hoping it didn't startle anyone. The low spirits I felt earlier melted away to the warm colors of the game. Dawn of the third day. And I'm enjoying a pleasant jog early in the morning since I don't know much about Koreanese. I stuck to the familiar path between the train station and the museum. When I returned, I saw people mingling in the open canopy. That meant there was enough time to eat breakfast before the trek to the cave. I swung a leg over the bench and settled in my seat. After pouring myself some apple juice, I grabbed an orange and began peeling it. Did you have a nice jog? Who's this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy? Startled by the unfamiliar accent, I glanced upward, greeted by a friendly face. I did. It was a short one though, since I don't want to risk getting lost just yet. I don't know the area well enough. The roads can be pretty windy too. You think you're heading east, and somehow you end up going north. Oh yes, I noticed the streets aren't exactly all clearly marked. The names are mostly on buildings. Speaking of names, I'm Melissa. Pleased to meet you. I extended an arm and he accepted my handshake. DeAndre, enchanté. Wait, you're from around here? Seika? It's just... I was trying to look for what I'm supposed to say to get the ending I want to show you guys. I'm gonna put your accent sounds different in English. Or in French when you speak in English. Did you learn it from somewhere? I studied abroad in New Zealand for a few years and picked up their manner of speech. That makes sense. Well, it sounds lovely, a charming accent. Seriously? Sweet as I was concerned. I'd be hard to understand considering it's not my first language. Glad that's not the case. I'm grateful that you took the chance. For a while it seemed like no one would talk to me. I worried if I was somehow unapproachable. Not at all. Many people here are shy in the beginning, but they warm up quickly. We were actually intimidated by your presence at first. Huh? Me? We all thought you were some high school prodigy archaeologist who had obviously flown in from another country. Yeah? Me? A prodigy? Oh no, I'm just a regular university student working on an anthropology major. And I don't look like a high schooler. First year? No, second year. Well, I guess I technically third. You? Fourth, I've sort of fallen behind on electives, so summer one seemed the easiest. We noticed a few students getting up and bringing the dishes to the outdoor wash area. DeAndre reached into his back pocket, then pulled out a phone. He glanced at the display. Speaking of which, if we like to pass, we should start heading out soon. Cave or lab? Right now, I'm on dishwasher duty, but I'll be working in the lab afterwards. They're still getting around to approving people's photographs, including mine. Again, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. It's no problem. I know what it's like to be in a new country and far away from your folks. Once we finished breakfast, we stood up at the same time. We momentarily gazed at each other in surprise. He was much taller than I expected, near Kyler's height. Now that I think about it, most, if not all of the students were easily a few inches taller than me or more. DeAndre hammered a fist into his flat palm excitedly. Oh, that was the other reason why we thought you were a high school student. Hey, I'm only slightly below average at home. DeAndre grinned in amusement. When we left the canopy, I spotted a middle-aged woman frantically asking students something in French. What's going on? Helena, the receptionist is looking for volunteers, but hasn't been easy. I offered to cook all week, but it's not a one-person job. I have a partner for day, but any past that? Sherry did encourage me to participate. More like I would be marked on my helpfulness outside of archaeology too. I don't want to do volunteer cooking, dishwashing duties, so we're gonna go. Good luck with that. I know I should volunteer, but I don't want to do that so soon. My head is already swamped with learning how to excavate. I haven't even dug an inch yet. I'm sure you'll find someone. Good luck with that. Yeah, thanks, Mel. I'll see you later. I'm glad my photograph got approved. Now I can finally start digging. So where do I start? From the top? Right, you start at the top and work your way back 25 centimeters. Then you proceed downward until you finish the layer. Some people prefer digging back a few centimeters, then work their way down. Either way, as long as you're making progress. For now, we have to remove couche de merde. Using her trowel, she etched a line near the top of the square. The dirt at the very top was hard and compact, with footprints all over it. All this is out of context now. People have trampled on it, and it's been exposed to air for so long that it's better just to remove it all. Couche de merde? Wait, it sounds like similar to mierda. Therefore, exactly, it's the layer of crap, to phrase it mildly. Just dig back 25 centimeters and a few down. When it comes to this layer, it'll make working my hair much easier. You'll still need a document for this, but you don't have to worry about the details. At least this will give me a chance to sharpen my excavating skills. I discreetly glanced in Kyler's direction. He must have been super diligent since he had already stripped his layer away. Hesitantly, I took the bigger trowel and started scraping, amazed by the resistance. I had to apply more force to make a dent. While you work on that, I have a quick question. Did you bring your journal? I didn't forget this time. Wonderful. Also, have you talked to Helena already? She's a receptionist over there and oversees the volunteers for cooking and cleaning duties. I could see where this was going. As you recall, I expect you to volunteer since it will be for marks too. Oh, I haven't volunteered yet. You better get on that. Helena did say that she's been having a hard time finding volunteers. Melissa, I'd like it if you could help out tomorrow. I hope it's not too abrupt. You know what? Let's get in trouble here and do it. Can I do It's Too Soon? Let's do It's Too Soon. I know it's important, but I'd like to focus more on digging first before I start volunteering. I just got here and I'm adapting to the schedule. I'm worried I get overwhelmed. I see. If you're uncomfortable, then don't feel pressured to volunteer for now. Keep in mind it's not only about helping out, but also getting acquainted with the other students. Who knows, maybe they'll be valuable colleagues in the future. I'll let you finish with your tasks. I'll mostly be helping other students here. Give a holler if you have any inquiries. I personally want you to get used to digging in the cave first before you transfer to lab. Next week, you can decide which one you like to focus on. Generally, students spend 1 week in a cave, 1 week in a lab, then alternate. However, I think flexibility is very important, so I'll let you plan your days. Sounds good. With the conversation finished, Sherry climbed the ladder, leaving me with a remote Kyler. Geez, he digs so fast. He does have experience though, but I wonder if I can even rely on him. So much for the square mate thing. Pulling out the earbuds out of my pocket, I inserted them and turned on my music. Now let's tackle this mucky layer. I'm just gonna keep socializing, to be quite honest. Heavy, way too heavy. Why did I think it was a good idea to fill it to the top? Now that I had to climb 2 ladders gripping the bucket handle with both hands, I managed to trudge forward to the wet screening area. Luckily, one space was free. I sat down to the bucket, then placed a screen over the container, suspended above the tub of water. I tried hoisting the bucket, only to find I was too short for this task. I kicked futilely at a cement block until I realized it was faster to grab it and drag it to the next tub. Stepping on the block, I unceremoniously dumped half the bucket's contents, trying not to overdo it. Once I had a labeled cup next to me, I grabbed a hose and drenched the compacted soil using my free hand to break up the globs. While I sifted through the items, I glanced at the person across from me. He tentatively poked through the wet screen, unable to determine if any of the objects were rubbish or were worth dropping into the cup. His arm obscured his hoodie design, although it seemed vaguely familiar to me. I watched him and he happened to look up, meeting my eyes. Bonjour, sorry, I can't speak French, so I'm not even sure if you can understand me. I didn't mean to blurt that out, but he averted his eyes briefly. For a moment, I thought he didn't understand English and didn't know how to respond. Hello? You speak English? Yes, I think I'm pretty fluent with it. Sweet, it's always nice to know I can talk to more people here. I'm not confident with my French at all, let alone Spanish. I chuckled while I waited for a reply. However, he meekly nodded, then glanced down at the wet screening. Total opposite of DeAndre. I guess he's not big on conversation. Music is great, but I spent all morning being super sociable with Kyler. Beside him. I need small talk, darn it. I'll be like new to all this. First time here as well? Yes, I don't know much about archaeology, so this is all new to me. It's a lot to take in. My head is spinning from all the info dumped on me in the past few days. Hopefully all my worries will pass on whether I can do it or not, and I can enjoy the experience. Are you nervous too? A bit. For someone being thoughtful on how to answer, it was barely a complete sentence. I need another angle. What else can I say? I don't know what that hoodie is, but I asked, what are you taking in school? Since this is an elective, what courses are you taking in school right now? What degree are you going for? Me? Right now I'm only in my first year. I'm taking some general courses. I'm thinking of going into computers or art. Oh, you draw? He hunched his shoulders modestly while one hand combed through the rocks. Something like that. It's always been a hobby of mine. I sensed a conclusive note in his tone and he turned off the water hose before placing it back in his holder. Not wanting him to disappear without a proper introduction, I extended a hand. I'm Melissa. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Shoji. He accepted my hand and I felt the grittiness and dampness from the wet screening. Sorry, I should have wiped my hand first. Not one of the best handshakes. It's fine. He tipped over the screen, dumping out all the rubble which vanished into the water below. I'll see you around. Yeah, later. Still could have gone a little bit better. Oh, I should finish up. I turned on the water hose again and continued my task. The conversation ended on an anticlimactic note, but at least it didn't have that same awkward vibe as before. Alright, let's get a time check here, because we've been doing this for half an hour and we're nowhere close to where I want to show you guys the ending, but Alright, so we're gonna speed through this. I didn't want to do it this way, but I didn't realize how much fucking text there would be. I knew there was a lot, but I didn't think it would take this long to read all of it. So yeah, we're gonna party right now. We skipped a whole bunch of scenes. We're gonna party. Let's party responsibly, first of all. I think they're talking about some shit. I don't fucking know. I didn't read the majority of this. So he was asking her if she liked something, and she said, "Of course I like cake." Pretty clever. Pretty clever. Okay. Actually, I can't skip that. I have to actually put. So these are like my assignments and my work area. So if you just alternate, generally everything is fine. Almost done here. See, so a lot of these choices don't matter, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go through them. I don't want to talk to Kyler. He's a freaking asshole. So I'm gonna ask for something in French right now. And I'm gonna admit to know some Spanish. Now, remember these two characters right here. Very important. Very important. We're gonna ask Sherry. Now what? I'm gonna throw in a joke. No clue. I'm not sure what this is. I don't think it matters. I'm gonna retreat to the tent because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'll leave this choice. I guess I'll accept it. I'm not sure what I'm accepting, to be honest. I think they're asking me if I want to continue the program, like with a bigger role or something. I'm gonna offer to do dishes. Then we're gonna make coffee first. I don't know where I am right now. Maybe later? Okay. I'm gonna wish this guy luck again. So who's this? That's what I want to know. She has nice hair. Even though you probably would never see that in real life. Because that's a lot of maintenance for so I hear. Volunteer to try. I'm not sure what we're trying, but you know, we'll figure it out. Let's talk about badgers. I'm gonna ask about what happened. I'm just gonna be like, you know what? You both have good points, but stop. I'm gonna stay out of this. Are we gonna join the party? I mean, I guess we might as well. This seems like a meaningless decision. I think they're offering to have a sleepover together. So I could either share a bed with Chantal or share a bed with Joan. I think Joan is the one on the right, the one with the pink top. And Chantal is the one with the green top. Now, apparently, Joan has orange hair, which you don't see too often with green eyes. I'm just saying, but Chantal has gray eyes with brown hair. I'm gonna go with the orange hair. We're gonna experiment a little on this. I'm gonna dance with the girls. Actually, no. I'm gonna focus on Joan. I'm gonna focus on Joan. And now we're gonna go. I don't think this one matters. So now I have no idea what I'm saying yes to. I don't know why she was in sleep lingerie, but hey, whatever. We'll get DeAndre first. We're going with yes again, apparently. Alright, so this is where things get interesting. So I'm gonna go back to normal speed, and we're gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna ask to try out the flute. Joan, can you teach me? She nodded enthusiastically and shuffled closer, her knees angled toward me. Her exuberance was contagious as she offered the instrument. She relaxed her lips, then made a little O with them. Like this. She manipulated the flute in my hands, her dainty fingers working until his mouthpiece was parallel to my lips, hovering just out of reach. I'm not supposed to touch it with my lips like a recorder, right? Confused, I let out a hard puff, like I was a kid blowing out a birthday cake. A sharp pitch followed, causing Joan to wince. Joan wasn't deterred and gently pulled the flute into her possession. Mistake, try. She separated the top from its body, leaving only the head joint. When she handed it back to me, she tapped her bottom lip. Embouchure? Close low. Her struggle to articulate, coupled with a passion, left her in a state of half frustration and determination. She wanted to succeed with her first little lesson, and her eyes lit up as I carefully followed her instruction. So here? I placed the hole a little lower this time, instead of perfectly aligned between my lips. She nodded eagerly, then blew out a stream of air. I heard that's bad. I heard that's not good for health. Just saying, just health in general. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like this, softer, please. I exhaled through my nose as I suppressed a chuckle. Fortunately, thanks to her guidance, I was able to make a weak but musical tone this time. Joan clapped, gaining a bit more confidence while I played around with my breathing. The note unexpectedly shifted up and down like a sliding whistle, and I realized Joan changed the pitch by inserting her pinky finger into the end of the flute. We broke out into laughter. Still smiling, I handed the piece back and she reassembled her instrument. Thanks for showing me. You'll be a great teacher one day. I hope so. It's easier to teach French students. She does a little wink with her tongue sticking out. I feel like that's an emoji somewhere. Alright, so I'm not sure what I'm failing and succeeding in. Alright, we're gonna go. Okay, yeah, I don't care about this, about the guys. I don't care about this part. I'll skip the lady, but she's not important. We're gonna accept her offer. I believe this is Joan's offer, I think. I'm not 100% sure though. Let's accept it. Oh no, I missed all of it. No. Luckily you can go back in this game. Damn it. Why does it keep doing that? How do I get it to go at normal speed? Dude, like this, usually I just power through this game. Or games like this, I should say. Yeah, I have no idea why it's not letting me do it, so we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna volunteer Joan for whatever this activity. Why is Shoji in there? He's such a nerd. But nerds need loving too. You know what? These controls are crazy to me, so we're just gonna keep going. So we volunteered Joan. Join Joan and Chantal in preparing the utensils. I spotted Joan and Chantal carrying trays filled with rattling utensils to the outdoor kitchen. I'll help you get the cutlery organized. Now that everyone had their assigned roles, I headed on over, giving the girls a friendly wave as I approached. I glanced at all the silverware, forks, knives, spoons, among stacks of red napkins. They reminded me of the utensils my family used at Christmas, a little more formal than the flimsy cheap ones. I guess this is as fancy smancy as an archaeological dig site can get. There's brown pieces of string too. I guess we're supposed to tie them up? What were the instructions? Wrap the utensils in the napkins and place them back in the box to serve at lunchtime. Joan placed... Like, are we really reading all this right now? I nudged Joan, who turned to Chantal for translation guidance. Or Chantal explained. I gestured to the cutlery. Are we going to talk about the cutlery the whole time? Rosemary, that's a new character. She's not that important. What about the napkins and utensils? Will you be doing them instead? Me? I already have my hands full making sure people are doing their jobs. But you don't speak French. How are you even? Time to ask Hendrik something. Good luck collecting the ivy. There's some behind the outdoor kitchen to start. Hey, I better not be carrying those tables alone. Chantal chased after Rosemary. Joan and I exchanged an amused smile before I pointed in the direction Rosemary recommended. Shall we go? Okay. We hiked through the woods, branching off blah 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 blah. Something about the setting. I tore off one plant and wrapped it around my arm like twine, and Joan did the same. We separated slowly as we took meandering steps, our eyes scanning the ground for more ivy. A loud rustle caused me to stiffen, and I glanced around apprehensively. Did you hear something? Joan tilted her head in bafflement, and I waved a dismissive hand, wondering if it was my imagination. Never mind. There's no bears in Belgium, right? I should have asked. I barely finished the thought when I heard a twig snap, alerting me. I whirled around to see a dark shape looming above the bushes, not far from Joan. In my panic, all I knew was it was something tall and huge. So I'm gonna protect Joan in this, because if you guys haven't figured out what's gonna happen, like, I don't know what to tell you, then you have problems reading social cues and me dropping all these hints everywhere, but okay, whatever. So we are gonna protect Joan, and dropping the ivy I possessed, I leapt in front of Joan, holding out an arm to shield her from any danger. Stay back. I glared at whatever was in front of me, doing my best to ignore the palpitations in my chest and the quiver in my voice. I had no time to gauge Joan's reaction, but I hope she was alright. Cool? I don't know how to say that. Huh? Augustine poked his head around the object, then propped it against a tree. Upon closer inspection, it was a cutout of a cave bear, painted entirely black. Looking around me, I noticed there were additional animal cutouts positioned close to the main path. A giant elk, a crouching lion, a hidden deer. I immediately dropped the protective stance and shuffled closer to Joan, embarrassed by my reaction. I didn't mean to scare you, petite fleur. I wasn't scared, just jumpy, decorating the route. Yes, I want to show what animals would have roamed Belgium 30,000 years ago. Interesting. I was just double checking the route, the story route as they call it, because I know what happens, but you guys don't know what. You guys should know what happens. But let's just keep going. Rest assured, there are no lions or bears here today. Okay, my mind did think of bears since there are black bears back home. Let's give this ivy to Rosemary, Joan. I held up the plants and gave Joan a small nod. I gave Augustine a quick goodbye before departing. Glancing back, I saw Joan grinning ear to ear like she knew something I didn't. I could tell she was suppressing her laughter. I wasn't scared. You thought it was a real bear. You jump in. She mimicked my stance from earlier, complete with a closed fist and arm shooting an invisible person. I was only thinking of your safety. Before I could stomp off, Joan clasped my hand between hers. No, listen. You thought there was a bear. You protect me. I am happy. You are very sweet. Of course I'd protect you. You're... I trailed off and we both glanced at our hands. Joan hastily let go, averting her eyes apologetically. Smiling, I held her hand again and gently tugged her toward me. Interesting. So Melissa is doing the initiating now, apparently. Let's go. So they're holding hands right now. She said, let's go. You're back. What took you so long? Aw? I feel something else has taken root besides the ivy. Oh my god. Did something happen during our walk? No, nothing happened. Joan, don't tell him. I gave her hand a squeeze and put a finger to my lips to the point across. No, but bear. Bear. You bared what to Joan? Did you bare your soul? Or maybe something more? Wow. Not that kind of bear. The two teased us relentlessly until we heard Augustine scolding a few idling gossipers by the main entrance. Taking a hint, Rosemary reached for Ivy. We better keep busy. You three can return to preparing utensils for our guests. Oh, no one did that while we were out? At least we weren't scrambling for something else to do now. Festival time. Where should I go? So... I don't know where to go. I'm gonna... I guess it doesn't matter. I'm gonna check out Rosemary flint napping. Since there was a crowd watching Rosemary, I decided to join in and see how she napped. Her entire demonstration was marked off with a circle of rocks to keep people at a safe distance. Sitting on a chair, she held a tan animal skin placed over her leg to protect herself from debris. She held a smooth obsidian cobble. What is an obsidian cobble in one hand and a hammerstone in the other? Half of the obsidian was already exposed, revealing a dark inner material, while a pile of flakes was scattered on another animal skin around her feet. Narrowing her eyes in concentration, Rosemary tilted the cobble and placed a precise strike near its edge. Multiple flakes slid off, revealing curved surfaces. Okay, I'm gonna skip this a little bit. These things really are sharp. The rest of the day whizzed by due to the constant hustle and bustle. While guests left, I don't think this is important. This is not important. Okay. Now. Oh, I think I pressed the wrong one. Oh, I love to. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to see it. You see, so if you pick the wrong decision, a good thing about this game is that you can always go back to a certain extent. You can't go back to like the beginning of the story, but like within a few screens you can. Maybe more than a few screens. I'd love to see it. Great, we can all go together. Joan really wanted you to come, but she was too shy to ask. It was her idea. Not shy. Thanks for thinking of me, Joan. Darien? She's stuck. Okay, like we gotta figure out what that was. What's going on? Chantal's late? Joan gave me an apologetic look before returning to her cell phone, speaking French again. It looks like all the decisions are done, I think. She's stuck. After a sigh, she passed the phone, knowing it would be faster if I talked to her. Chantal? Sorry, Melissa, had to drop my brother off at some major soccer tournament. And sort of got lost, and now, stupid tourists, you don't cross there. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean you, I meant. Gotcha, you're running late. I wanted to drive us to Namur. Maybe you and Joan can go ahead on the train. If all goes well, I'll be there after you arrive. Joan knows the area we plan to take you anyway. I glanced at Joan, who anxiously waited for an answer, and probably for her phone bag. I don't know what I was supposed to do here. Does it matter? I don't know. Let's wait for Chantal, because you can never, three's company. You know what I mean? Three is a good number. I like the number 3, especially in this situation right here. No rush. I want to experience this with both of you. I don't mind arriving later. Thanks, Melissa. You're a good friend. Pass it in to Joan. No, actually, let me tell her. Is talking on the cell phone while driving illegal here? Exactly. Why, it'll be faster if I tell Joan. Right. Once Joan received her phone, they continued their conversation. A few minutes later, she ended the call, happy to be caught up with the plan. Hopefully, we won't have to wait long. It was hard to contain my excitement. Namura was a densely packed city with little shops, restaurants, and windy streets. Whenever I felt like I lost my sense of direction, I looked for the Citadel, which was a fortress that stood up on a hill, making it impossible to miss. Chantal and Joan eventually led me to the city square, which was surrounded by colorful buildings. There were also food vendor stands. One in particular had a long line of whatever it had. It must have been delicious. Hey, what's that? I pointed to a carriage display near a building at the edge of the square. There were 2 bronze statues of cartoony men with a snail each. One snail was leashed while the other was in a cage. Isn't that based off some comic book characters or something? I don't know much about it, but I know the snails represent Namura. The snails? Since we're all laid back and stuff. I'm hungry. Joan peered over at the food vendors and I nodded in agreement. Sure, let's eat something. I took a step toward the lineups, but Chantal raised her hand to stop me. Wait, we'll handle it. Soak in the scenery while you're here. There was something impish behind her smirk, but I obliged and sat down on the bench, wondering what they would bring back. It felt like forever, but Joan emerged with a plastic container, while Chantal had 2. The containers were filled to the brim with a dozen of something gray and unrecognizable, floating in a murky broth. A broth. I carelessly accepted the container from Chantal along with a toothpick. What is it? Something all true Belgians eat. Think of it as a rite of passage. Escargot. What? Wait, snails? They're not snails, they're whelks, which is sea snails. Among the wrinkled snails, I noticed a bit of onion and celery. It smelled savory, but the texture looked rubbery. As I watched Chantal and Joan each skewered one and popped them into her mouth like it was common snack food, well, it was to them. You know what? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put this rubbery, broth-like thing in her mouth. we're gonna try one. Seeing their delighted faces convinced me, even if I ended not liking it. I could say something unique in Belgium. Oh, say I tried something unique in Belgium. I gingerly poked around with a toothpick, selecting the perfect welt for my important first bite. After jabbing one, I blew the steam off, then popped it into my mouth, not sure what to expect. The first 2 bites were chewy, but then my teeth sunk into the tenderness. It reminded me of scallops, only without the butter and garlic. Briny, but not overpowering. I don't know what briny is. This is really good. You like? I've never tried this before, but it's delicious. I knew it. You're now one of us. Congratulations. You're immersing yourself in Belgian culture. We all eagerly dug into our containers, chatting happily about our trip. Now I saw there was a long lineup to that particular stand. If you're still hungry, there's a great place near here that serves crepes. I think of it as a reward for trying something new. Crepes with Belgian chocolate? Count me in. Okay, Chantal, Joe, and I sat together chatting lightly while we cleaned the finds. The mood was more serious than usual. It was the final week and we were determined to finish as many documents as we could before the excavation wrapped up for the summer. Chantal glanced down at the bone she was scrubbing and let out a heavy sigh. I can't wait until this is over. And yet lab work has grown on me. Is it because we stopped breaking stuff? Haha, true, and once you can identify what you're cleaning, it's more fun. I better get used to it. I know I'll be doing this sort of thing when I'm not in the water. I bet you'll be cleaning different kinds of finds though, like coins and pieces of ship, and definitely no cave bear. Joan, tu amas le labo maintenant? Joan made a face and we exchanged a quick glance. Un peu? I like it because I'm with friends. If alone, no. Too hard alone. I felt the light brush against my hand and I glanced down, watching Joan's fingers intertwine mine. Her movements were hidden by the sea placed in front of us, and I gave her a small squeeze back. Chantal laughed, then set her toothbrush before picking up her ink pen. So much for converting my best friend into becoming an archaeologist. With me, Melissa, it'd be fun if we could work on the same site together. That'd be nice, but would there be much overlap at all? I guess it would depend on what period we'd like to focus on. Underwater archaeology probably doesn't deal well with prehistoric stuff often. You never know, archaeologists found underwater caves containing Neanderthal remains before. Sorry, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You're going into underwater archaeology? That's amazing. What inspired you? I always liked reading about shipwrecks and stuff, and I loved swimming growing up, so it was a natural blend of my interests. Is that all? Also the Titanic movie. Rosemary laughed and slapped Chantal's back. It doesn't matter how it captures your interest as long as it kindles a passion. Joan, do you appreciate archaeology more now that you've experienced it? Chantal translated the question. Joan thought for a moment before giving a tiny nod. I go because Chantal signed up. It was very hard. But I learned lots. I like museums now. I want to visit more of them. I also met Melissa. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad too. Grinning, I raised our linked hands. Joan let out a little squeal, then blushed vividly. Called it. It's not a big surprise. They've been lovey-dovey all week. We giggled at Chantal's mock complaint. I leaned in and nudged Joan with my shoulder, our arms resting on the table between us. I can't blame them. Melissa's going back home soon. The light-hearted mood vanished and my stomach plunged at the thought. Aww. Joan squeezed my hand tightly, also feeling the same way, and I mustered a smile. I'll come back and see you again. Really? Of course, you're my girlfriend. My cheeks grew warm right after I said it. Joan grinned so brightly from the decoration that I felt giddy inside. They're serious about this. Good, because if you break Joan's heart, Melissa, I'll personally fly over to America myself and punch you in the stomach. I promise it won't come to that. Chantal, what does that mean? It's like the good luck phrase, break a leg. Really now. Thank you. Okay, I think we're wrapping up here. This video is a little bit over an hour right now, but like I thought the most interesting parts were like in the last like half hour, last 10 minutes. But we'll see. I sighed as I zipped up my rolling bag. The tent area was deserted. Everyone had either packed up and left, or were in the process. At the main entrance, I could see Sherry and the excavation team thanking the students as they departed. People were exchanging goodbyes along with hugs or adding phone numbers. Sochi stood to the side, quietly digging his toe into the gravel. It was nice meeting you, Soji. Same here. Good luck with your archaeology. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I mustered up my best smile as I waved them off. I barely finished when someone pounced on me. DeAndre clapped me on the shoulder. DeAndre clapped her, grinning widely, of course. It was great meeting you, Kumail. I hope you enjoyed Belgium, even if Koreans was only a small representation. I did. Thanks for making me feel welcomed here, DeAndre. You take care of yourself. You too, if you're ever in the area, let me know and we'll hang out again. He raised his phone as a friendly gesture, then left as well. When Kyler saw me, he simply gave a nod of acknowledgement. Hey, thanks for helping me out and stuff. It wasn't a problem. Good luck with your archaeology endeavors. Hey, maybe we'll meet up again. Don't be a stranger now. Right, take care. Chantal and Joan approached me and I threw my arms around them both in a group hug. This is it. It was really nice meeting you, Melissa. Likewise, thanks so much for letting me stay the weekends with you too. I had a blast. I'm glad we can make your first experience in Europe a great one. First experience in Europe. I promise to do the same if you come over to America. Oh, we definitely plan to, right, Joe? Once we separated, I saw Joe nodding eagerly. We talked a lot about it. We were thinking we could fly to Florida, rent a car, and then stay in California for the weekend. Do you have any idea how much driving that'll involve? Chantel and Joan exchanged quizzical glances before holding up a small number of fingers each. 6 hours? I stretched my arms for emphasis. The US is huge. If you drove non-stop, that'd be at least 30 hours. What? What about New York then? Is that far? Just a bit. We'll have to work out the details. I already added you to my social contacts. Same. We'll keep in touch. Chantel grinned mischievously. And keep your evening free tonight. This isn't the final goodbye. No? We made a plan. Exactly. Who leaves a friend on their own on their last night? Plus, we can drive you to the airport. Normally I feel like I would be imposing, but I'll be selfish and say yes. I want to spend as much time as I can with you guys. Great. We'll be back in a few hours. Later. Once they were gone, I toured around and hugged Sherry tightly, not caring that the others witnessed this. Sherry, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for this experience. I'm so happy you accepted me for this food school. I'm not exaggerating when I say this was one of the best times of my life. Thank you for sharing this with me. Well, she basically socialized the whole time, just saying. I met so many wonderful people. I learned so much. I want to keep doing this. She patted me on the shoulder sympathetically, allowing me to calm down first. I'm glad you'll always be welcome back. I struggled to speak, but the offer caused my chest to tighten, and I could only sob louder. It felt like a second home to me already in these 2 months. The routine, the earthy smell, I swear, I could never escape from. The digging in the cave, the sour fumes from the lab, the stupid drunken antics, the language barrier, the mundane camp food, the creaking museum roof, Hendrix spiels, Rosemary's enthusiasm, even Augustine's lectures. I didn't want it to end. Thank you. I can't even express how much I'll miss this place. Thank you for teaching me. I learned more here than I ever have in any classroom. Nothing like experiencing the real thing, huh? It always makes me happy when students develop an appreciation for stone tools. Don't be a stranger now. I am pleased to know that you have found it to be a meaningful opportunity. Any of Sherry's students are allowed to return. Great dig, Petite Flora. Thank you, everyone. We continued to chat about future plans until Augustine checked his watch and announced it was time to go. Everything was locked up for the save for the usual front door. Hendrik even gave a spare key along with instructions of where to store it before I departed. You'll be fine returning on your own. Chantal and Joan will be driving me to the airport tomorrow. That's wonderful. Have a safe night and email me when you arrive home so I know you're okay. I will. Take care. You're here. What's in the bags? I gawked as I closed the door behind them, while Chantal and Joan carried strained plastic bags. It's a surprise. Joan? I don't even know if I can read this. Je m'occupe de papa, la nourriture, proposer ton moment romantique à Melissa. I believe the last part was a romantic moment with Melissa. Moment romantique? You're blushing too, Melissa. Guess it was obvious. A tad. Chantal laughed at our bashful expressions. I was about to say experiences. I'll be up in a bit. I'll be making some appetizers for our movie night. Oh, what kind? You'll see, but I promise you'll love it. She departed outside, leaving Joe and I speechless at the foot of the stairs. Shyly, Joan pointed upward. Let's go. After we changed into our pajamas, we both set up the nail station, complete with flies, bottles of polish, and adorable stickers. I smiled. They were definitely going all out. Joan gestured to the chair, and I sat down, scooting closer to her. Our knees were nearly touching as she leaned in, her hand hovering over the bottles. Style? Surprise me. Surprise? Up to you? I gestured to her, and after a moment's reflection, she gave a resolute nod as if she had something in mind already. She picked a white polish with a pearl shine to it, and I set my hand on the table. I admit, this would be a nice indulgence. I didn't paint my nails since I arrived in Belgium, since I knew I'd just get dirt under them anyway. Although Joan was confident with getting the base done, she slowed down with the pink polish. She made odd swirls on each nail, then bit her lip in disappointment before she used the white shade again to cover it up. Whenever she blushed, she sighed and attempted to fix it. I pretended to be obvious and tried not to giggle at her efforts. She was generally trying her best. See, I don't want to skip too far ahead and like miss what you guys are waiting to see. But keep in mind, this is a video game, and I believe it's not like rated R or NC-17 or anything. Just saying. Wait, what was she attempting to create anyway? What design? Wait, pink hoops? It's the logo for my sweatshirt. Elated, I used my other hand, nails now dry, to tap where the Lindy Hopper words would be if I wore it. It's a Lindy Hopper design, isn't it? Recognizing the term, she eagerly nodded, although I could tell she was still crestfallen over her rudimentary work. I spread my fingers out and held them up to show I was admiring them. It's lovely. Lovely, really? I love it. You painted something I like. You're very sweet. To convey my messages better, I gave her hand a squeeze. I'm glad you like it. The creak of the stairs signaled that someone was approaching. All prepared, I'll set this down in front of the mattress, ready for some action movies? Some action movies. Interesting. I bet there's a lot of action in these movies. She was carrying a tray that had a piping bowl in the middle, surrounded by cut fruit, steamed vegetables, and various cube chunks of bread. Carefully, she placed it in front of the mattress, making sure we could eat comfortably. Curious, I crawled over. I let out an elated squeal when I realized it was cheese fondue. You guys are awesome. I'm not saying that. Belgium's famous for its chocolate, but we have an amazing cheese selection too. You're spoiling me. You're all honestly spoiling me. I feel like we won your eternal friendship with this gesture. Told you she loved it, Joan. La puissance de fromage? Oh, here, you should definitely try it with the walnut bread. Hey, don't use your freshly painted fingers. We got utensils here. Chantal sat beside me while Joan popped in the movie, an action flick with English subtitles. However, the movie was entirely ignored save for the occasional explosion while we talked and ate lively. You really didn't have to do all this. Why not? It's your last night here. Besides, I expected you to do something similar when we visit you. I nearly choked on my pear chunk and hastily covered my mouth. You're serious about this? About visiting? Well, yeah, Joan and I did a lot of talking and we were both always wanted to travel, but couldn't agree where. Why not start somewhere we both love to go, and with a friend to meet? It makes sense. Joan nibbled on a broccoli pensively, attempting to follow the conversation the best she could between Chantal's translations. Can we visit you? Of course, I'd love to have you two over. When the movie ended and the cheese fondue cooled off and forgotten, we got ready for bed. I guess since I was the guest, they wordlessly decided to have me sleep in the middle. Being the heavy sleeper Chantal was, she instantly fell asleep, leaving me and Joan laying next to each other, staring at the ceiling. I grasped her hand and we rode until we both faced each other. The moonlight reflected off Joan's eyes. I'll miss you. Yeah, I'll miss you too. I leaned in, careful not to startle her. Mutually, we tilted our faces and I pressed my lips lightly against hers. They were soft and tasted of peach lip balm. So I just want you guys to absorb the scene right here. Just absorb it in. When we separated, Joan blushed and hid her face in the pillow. Oh, I probably should have moved my my webcam over in a different corner. Oh, I read all the important stuff. When we separated, Joan blushed and hid her face in the pillow. You're so shy. I'm not shy. As I reached out to stroke her hair, I felt a sharp pain shoot up my back. Ow? Melissa? Talk about a mood ruiner. I glanced back, feeling Chantal's knees still wedged against my spine. I wriggled farther away in an intent to increase the distance. I didn't know she thrashed in her sleep, and that she could sleep through a hurricane apparently. Is this why I'm sleeping in the middle? You're so sneaky, Joan. We're trading places. What? Switch. I grabbed her shoulders and tried to roll her over me, seeing my intention, she resisted, protesting. She squirmed out of my reach, and we ended up giggling as she remained stubborn on the sleeping arrangements. Eventually, we decided to curl up right at the edge beyond Chantal's outstretched kicks. Our foreheads gently touched while we dozed off in an embrace. Ah, well, no complaints there. Well, that was. This is the kind of stuff they have in some of these visual novel games. I mean, so for lack of a better term, I don't know if you guys know this. This is called Yuri, and Yaoi is just the opposite. It's basically two dudes, but like Yuri is two females. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Just going through the credits now. I don't think there's anything more after the credits. We could rush through, see if there is. 4 months later. Oh, they're really okay. And voila, this is my bedroom. I wildly gestured as Joan followed me through the entrance, despite it being the holidays. I had no time to decorate it with a fake plastic tree, or even hang paper snowflakes next to the window. Joan set her luggage down against the wall and gazed in awe. What a cute room. I love the chandelier and the flower vase. Although she was impressed with the interior decoration, I was more impressed with how fluent Joan's English had become over 4 months. We remained in constant contact, and we practiced speaking through video chats. My French remained abysmal, but at least all my Spanish was coming back to me thanks to Chantal, and my parents were thrilled with my improvements. I still can't believe I'm here. Even for winter, it's pretty warm. It's a shame Chantal will miss celebrating Christmas with us. Why did she delay her flight by a week? She wanted us to have our little honeymoon stage to ourselves. Honeymoon stage. I admit simply being in Joan's presence made me beyond elated, and showed on our faces. That's thoughtful of her. How long are the holidays in Belgium? We go back to school after the New Year. Our exams were a few days ago. She looked down, appearing crestfallen, and I worried she didn't perform as well as she hoped. However, she lifted her chin, smiling widely. I think I did much better this semester. That's great, Joan. What degree did you declare? History of art and archaeology. Wow, they combine that? Is it history of music and art? Yes, I can still practice my flute, but I also pick a period to study. I went with classical. I like this approach more. I want to be able to teach music too, and this helps. I also feel closer to you. During class, they had it's a lot of photos on the computer. Photos? Oh, slideshow. Yes, a slideshow. They showed a picture of a flute 40,000 years old. They said it confirmed the flute is the oldest musical instrument in history. It reminded me of you. So you think of me whenever you see old things. I guess if you put it that way, yes. Oh, I'm flattered. Is your English okay? Sometimes I worry I'm speaking too fast. I'm good. If anything, I'm happy we can talk without me glancing at Chantal for help. I hope I am understandable. Honestly, there were so many things I wanted to tell or ask you back in Belgium that I didn't know how to say. Oh, like how interesting your eating habits are? Hey, asked about the bracelet you wore? What movies you like? She pressed her pointer fingers together, glancing away nervously. If it was alright to say you're cute, and that I love you. Oh, Joan, I love you. I love you a lot. I'm glad my feelings reached you. Her hands darted over and affectionately grasped mine. We exchanged a gentle kiss, our fingers still interlocked. After we separated, we leaned in and touched foreheads. Love you too, Joan. Let's enjoy our honeymoon to stage the fullest so Chantal doesn't gag at our lovey-doveyness. Deal. So, that was a bonus scene, by the way, after the credits. This is just a song again. I know you guys love the song, so like I'm gonna let it run for a little bit.
It takes to understand. There's a reason why we're drawn together here, coming clear.
Yeah, I probably should have did this, huh, guys? Probably should have did something like that. Yeah, I should do that. Oh well, I read mostly everything, so hopefully you guys get it. Honestly, I'm just gonna tell people to watch like the last half hour of this video, to be honest. Alright, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. It took a lot out of me. It's been a while since I recorded. So we're not at 90 minutes, which is good, but we're also over an hour. We will figure this out. Hopefully this video turns out well, or else I just wasted 90 minutes of my life. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching.